One of the things we're looking at in every single case is what evidence is there and is it admissible? Just because certain evidence, like a blood test or a field sobriety test, exists doesn't mean that it's going to be used in court. And that's where motions to suppress come in. We're looking at reasons that something might be suppressed, and I think you could probably tell them something about that.
Yeah, so every stage of a DUI investigation, there are certain things we look for to determine if evidence is admissible in court. So the first stage of a DUI, there's three stages, is the vehicle in motion. The officer has to have a certain amount of evidence to pull your vehicle over, reasonable suspicion that you committed a crime, or doing community caretaking as officers, making sure that you're okay. But there's certain requirements for each type of issue to determine whether the officer had a reason to approach you in the first place. And so that's the first thing we look at. Then the second thing is the second stage, the personal contact, where the officer may allege slurred speech, odor of alcohol, unsteadiness on feet, stuff like that. Again, they just need a reasonable suspicion, but to place you in handcuffs or place you in the back of their police car, they need probable cause, a higher standard. And so there's a bunch of seizure issues that we find almost every day in DUI cases where the officer might put handcuffs on too early, before he's done with his investigation, before he does field sobriety testing. And so there's a bunch of nuances within the DUI law that you have to know to look for those nuances, or else you may just miss them. And an issue that could have been suppressed, or an arrest that could have been stopped, or a case that could have been dismissed because of evidence that should not have been used against you may be used if you don't know to look for that.
One of the most important pieces of evidence in a DUI case is a breath or a blood sample as well. And there are times when the state's not going to be able to use those, particularly with breath. In Tennessee, there are specific requirements that the officer must do out in the field and be able to articulate in court in order to prove that that breath sample is reliable. And they're not always able to. They don't always do it the right way. And so we're looking for that to potentially exclude a breath or a blood test.